those of you so fixated on what time we actually start, just remember, I push all the buttons, so we start whenever I feel like it. And again, the show is called Overtime Drive, which means you got to wait for the first 5 minutes to kind of click on in. Welcome on into the Overtime Drive. He's Dave Shumate. I'm Cole Thompson. We are actually working together for the first time in 2 weeks, and this is only going to happen one more time, and then we're right back to normal scheduling. It's all because of the tournament, and Dave's working his ass off, and I have other things going on in my life as well. But real quickly, we have a jam-packed show for you, as we always do. Monday, March 24th, 2025. Sean Miller got hired by the University of Texas. Is this a good move for the Longhorns moving forward? Quarterback battles are ensuing around the SEC. Who has an advantage? Which players are we looking out for? And also, who are the newcomers that are joining the party that actually could eventually make household names in the conference? Real quickly, before we go any further, make sure you like the video, hit the ring notification, and subscribe to the channel because we talk college football, college athletics every single day in your favorite conference, the conference that just means more because they just proved that last night by having 7 teams punch their ticket to the Sweet 16. Make sure that you follow Dave on Twitter at Dave Shumate SEC, me at Mr. Cole Thompson. Check out all of our great work found at SECUnfiltered.com. And if you haven't already, make sure that you hit that ring notification down below. That way you know for a fact that we go live every single day. And as always, this episode is brought to you by our friends over at FANDUEL. Visit FANDUEL.com/SECU to join today and get started with $200 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet. What better time to make more money for you to bet on than with the SEC dominating the competition in the Sweet 16 and eventually the Elite 8, and of course later on the Final 4. Make sure you go visit FANDUEL.com/SECU. Join in the madness today. Schusters, what the hell is going on? I've missed you, buddy.
Hey, it feels like 2 weeks, but it's been 2 weeks. Feels like 2 years. But no, you're right. NCAA tournament. We'll discuss that a little bit. But no, it's a great time of year, Bear. I mean, I think we got the weather starting to warm up. We get longer days now. Not longer days, more sunlight for us. We all need the vitamin D. NCAA tournament. I think everybody's mad. We don't have a lot of Cinderellas, but that gives us phenomenal Sweet 16 matchups. And we got spring ball right now. We're in the midst of it. We're talking at least a little football. We can all admit probably getting a little less than we're accustomed to, but you know what? We're still getting a dose, and I think we can all appreciate that. So a lot of time, college baseball, 3rd week heading into conference play, another year on the diamond in the SEC. Bear, it's phenomenal. Your Masters coming up. It's a good time. I think it's an adjustment, everything, Barry. You got a new gig, man, so congrats to you. I'm fired up, man. It feels like 2 years, but it's only been 2 weeks.
When I have more time and more information to give, I will tell you where you can find more work that I'm already doing because I'm not sleep deprived. I don't have anything going on in my life to where I need to be focused. So yeah, sure. Why not throw another 401k into my bank account? That way I can afford a house and a studio along with SEC Unfiltered. We got a jam-packed show. Dave, before we go any further, I do have to ask you, because if you are our basketball aficionado here, and I'm tired of hearing people on Twitter argue about it because of the tournament has been boring. The tournament hasn't had any buzzer beaters. The tournament has been so predictable. And then we get the Crab Five making the shot of all shots game winner against Colorado State. And here we have the woodwork coming out where Twitter's fiends and people who just seem to hate fun calling it a travel. So let me ask you, in your opinion, was it a travel or was it a clean play?
No, I mean, he took 4 steps. Let's be honest, 2's an extra, but no, he definitely traveled. But man, that was, like you said, that was the game everybody been looking for. We almost had the Cinderella.
We did. Now we have
get John Calipari and the Hogs is our Cinderella.
We have a 3-time Coach of the Year now in the Sweet 16 as the Cinderella squad with a roster that just 2 years ago was good enough to be considered an Elite 8 finisher underneath what's his name, Eric Musselman. So yeah, I mean, like, let's just call a spade a spade. Not really the Cinderella that you're talking about, but let's do it as we always do before we get into the main subject around the SEC. Dave, what you got in the docket tonight?
Well, Barry, outside of what we're going to talk about, really just going around the SEC, the NCAA tournament. You mentioned we got 7 teams advancing, going up to the schedule for this upcoming week. I mean, again, like we mentioned, a lot of people doubting the SEC when we were 4-4, heading into really the weekend, really up to the first day. People were pushing the panic button. But the SEC bounces back 3-1, 4-0 on Sunday. But Thursday, Bear, Alabama, BYU in Newark, 7:09 Eastern on CBS. Florida, Maryland, 7:39 p.m. Eastern on TBS. That'll be out west in San Francisco. And then the last SEC game on Thursday, Texas Tech, Arkansas, 10:09 p.m. Eastern. That'll also be out in San Francisco in the West region. Then Friday, we got Michigan State, Ole Miss in Atlanta. That'll be the first game in Atlanta. The other one in Atlanta, the South Region, Auburn, Michigan. Ton of Auburn fans, I'm assuming, will be heading to that. Then we got Tennessee, Kentucky, 7:39 out in Indy, playing at Lucas Oil, Bear. That's the only regional they're playing in a football stadium. I mean, we're used to them doing it for the Final Four, but for a regional, I find it to be a little strange when the Pacers arena. Again, I haven't looked at the Pacers in town. I haven't even seen that, but I'm assuming because Atlanta, they're playing at Allstate or the old.
Yeah, they're playing at Allstate. Like, this is the first time that they are actually doing a Elite Eight, I believe, or second.
Yeah, down to Sweet 16 in a football stadium.
In a football stadium. And here's the crazy part. It's not like that they don't have a basketball arena to work with because of where the Pacers play. It's right next door. Like, literally, the Tin Oak is right next door to Lucas Oil. So, I mean, we're talking the less than mile drive.
See, I've never been to Indy. Is it next door?
It's like a mile drive. Like, that's it. Like, you could walk to the two. Like, when I go for the combine every year, up until last season, because of I crashed at 3 a.m. But that's for a completely different story. I would take the scooter around. Like, I'd use the scooter to get from the basketball arena, because that was next to like the bar stage, down to Lucas Oil for the actual combine.
Yeah.
So completely different field.
The Pacers are playing at home the night before the semifinals. They play the Jazz Friday night. That's just poor scheduling.
I said it's poor scheduling. What are we doing here? If you know that you're going to be in Indy, you're going to be in Indy. But
it's whatever. Moving on with that. It's just interesting if you're one of those coaches. That one should be well attended with Tennessee, Kentucky, and Purdue there. And then that's it. I already mentioned Auburn, Michigan. So, man, we got some really good games. I know everybody was disappointed, like we mentioned, no Cinderellas, but man, we have some phenomenal sweets. The best that I can remember in a while, Sweet 16. We got the real halves in this Bama BYU. And I see the over-unders like 170. I'm going to maybe take the over. This should be high octane. Florida Bear, that's who everybody likes. They're going against your team, baby. The Crab Five. Really good 5 starters. I'll say that. Not very deep, but again, deep.
No, that's the problem. That's the problem with Maryland, is that they're a good starting rotation, but the second that you got to go to your bench, you're getting guys that are averaging less than 20% of their shots. So it's like that becomes an issue. All right, let's talk about the main news of the day. I think this is the one that most people have been focusing in on. Texas moving off of Rodney Terry 2 years in. And honestly, I was team keep Rodney, because let's be real. It's only your second season as a head coach. Yes, you have 3 years because of the whole Chris Beard debacle, but you only had 2 years. But then they go ahead and they say, you can't lose the way that you did to Xavier. You can't play that poorly in the second half. You can't have this type of self-implosion with 5 minutes remaining and us believe that you're worthy of sticking around. So he's out of a job. And who's coming on in? Well, just the simple person that got him fired to begin with. Sean Miller is now coming on in to make the replacement. Former Xavier coach, 13 NCAA tournaments during his time, including 2 in the past 3 seasons at Xavier. He was at Xavier for several seasons, went down to Arizona, was there for a decade plus, back to playing with the Musketeers, helped the team get to 2 college football tournament appearances, 487 career wins under his belt with a winning percentage of 71%. Dave, people seem to be split about this move because of Sean Miller is coming off of statistically his worst year at Xavier. Very underwhelming season to the standard of what is the Musketeers. Yet still, who else were you going to go get? What was going to be the move to where you felt like your team was trending in the right direction, better than it would have been underneath Rodney Terry, with a guy that was absolutely locked in and coming to be there and going to be there pretty soon? Because remember, you could have gone after like BYU's coach, could have gone after like maybe Iowa State's coach, like TJ Ottinger, but like you had to make sure that you were locked in that way at the start of the transfer portal period, which began today. Over 300 players have entered the portal. You have to make sure this is the guy that you're going to be playing for. This is the type of culture that we're going to establish.
Yeah, I mean, I think Texas really got to ask themselves, like, how committed do we want to be in basketball? That's where it kind of starts. I think from a coaching standpoint, it's the best you could get out of a guy that was willing to leave. I mean, I've even heard people today ask, is Texas basketball a better job than Xavier? I mean, I think it is, but people debated it. It's just, I think it depends. Texas can be a way better job if they're financially committed to it. But I think from a coaching standpoint, he went to numerous Sweet 16s, Elite Eights, 3 Elite Eights. When he was at Xavier at Arizona, was good at Xavier before that. Back now, has done a phenomenal job. Good basketball coach. I think it's just the best you could have gone and gotten right now. I just think Nate Oates isn't leaving. TJ Otzelberger isn't leaving Iowa State. I think in college basketball, these guys plant roots. And once they have that job security, like, I mean, think about it. Matt Campbell's a big man on campus, but so is TJ Otzenberger. Nate Oates is the big man on campus right now.
Right now he is.
People like
that can change in 5 seconds that when Kalen DeBoer finally figures it out. But
yeah, like Nate Oates is the most successful head coach on Alabama's campus right now, at least in the sport people care about. And I think overall he is. 4 out of the last 5 years they made it to the second round. But no, he's not taking the job. Like, who else would you have realistically gone and got? I think you have to see how much are you committing to this program financially. You got to go in the portal, get a point guard, try to keep our guy Weaver. But, man, it is what it is. I mean, I think that was the best you could get. I don't dislike it. I think he raises the floor of the program. I fully expect Texas Bear to start making the tournament every year and going to the second weekend at 2 out of every 4 years.
The way that I view the hire was, and it sounds disrespectful because of even as a team Rodney guy, keeping him back for 2025, run it. Let's see what he does in year 3. The self-implosion and the insufficient coaching in the second half of games really cost Texas multiple opportunities for a better seed and not even have to be on the bubble, where they had to get the double overtime win against Texas A&M to punch their ticket to the dance to begin with. But to me, what it really felt like was, if you're going to go swing, at least swing big. That's where I kind of have like this dislike. I'll tell you who I would have really gone after. I would have gone after McDermott. I would have made an offer out in the Big East, but I would have gone to Omaha, Nebraska, and see if after, what's it been, 16 years, he's finally ready to go. Because to me, that's a guy that's going to give you consistency. And I don't disagree with you. I think that when you look at the current status of Texas with Sean Miller now coaching, this will be a team that we know is at least guaranteed to be in the tournament. They're going to be one of the 68 every single year. But
they should be.
Right. But what are the goals? Like, I look at Porter Moser at Oklahoma right now. And as good of the hire as I thought it was when what he did at Loyola Chicago, I have been vastly underwhelmed by his success out in Norman. And yes, they made the tournament this year, but what are you trying to be? Are you trying to be a team that just barely gets on in and loses as a 9 seed? Or do you want to be considered a top 4 seed the way that Tennessee is and the way that Auburn is and the way that Texas A&M is, and they get the right coach in the building? And I don't know if I'm getting that with Sean Miller. I know I'm getting to the tournament. I know I'm going to be in as a 8, 9, 10, maybe a 7, at best a 6 seed. But I expect a little bit more at the University of Texas because there's a certain standard that you hold there. And they don't really get told no that much. So, like, I've heard a rumor that there was a little birdie that came around and told me, and I'm not going to go ahead and say it was entirely true, but a very prominent Big 12 coach who had many self-inflicting wounds this past year, hint, hint, point, point, nudge, nudge, may have been interested in finally leaving his post and coming to Austin. That's a big-time swing. That's a move that it's Texas. Those are the type of coaches you should be going after. I felt like this is kind of safe. The best I can say is that this is a move that Chris Del Conte is actually trusting. Because Rodney got the job because of what Texas did. What the run Texas went on.
An assistant with Rick Barnes too.
But like the run he went on, the fact that the culture didn't change, the fact that they were still one of the best teams in the Big 12, that's why he got the job. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You can phrase it however you want, but he got the job because there was so much continuity with this roster. This is a guy that now Chris Del Conte is sticking his neck out for. You better be right on it because of at Texas, your goals with the money that you bring in, with the allocation of resources, with the way the boosters are, they're not going to sit by and just wait a few years for things to get better. They want instantaneous results because they're paying for instantaneous results. Whether we disagree with that, that's Texas. That is what the standard is for that.
In my interactions, I feel like Texas fans care more about baseball than they do men's basketball.
Oh, sure, probably. At this point, why not? Baseball's crushing it. They have the coach that beat up on that little brother, lost overnight. And also, the results are absolutely terrible down in College Station right now. So what's the thought process, Dave? Well, it actually wasn't the players and the recruits that you were bringing on in. It was the guy who was teaching those recruits how to be better suited to actually play in the SEC. Look at what he's doing for us in Austin year 1. Yeah. Like, that's got to be kind of the thought process. Overall grade for the move, what would you give it for a head coaching standpoint?
I mean, a B plus. I mean, I don't really think it's a Sean Miller thing. Who's available? Like, it's also like people get comfortable, like I said, in their basketball jobs. People like their basketball jobs. So, sure. I mean, I think it's fine. Texas, they were underperforming again. But I'll say this, to be fair to Rodney Terry, it wasn't like bleeding out. It wasn't awful. I mean, he kind of inherited what Chris Beard had. They lost in the Elite Eight that year to Miami, lost in the second round to Tennessee last year, and made the tournament this year. So it never got really off the rails. It just kind of felt like
that's a problem.
We're underachieving. So I think it's a B+. I like it.
There's something about the backstabbing et tu brute feel of hiring the coach that got you fired that kind of sours it a little bit, or also maybe
he's going to be fired even if they lost in the next round.
But it kind of raises the floor just a little bit too, because it's like, oh, okay, well, you know that there's a ceiling at Xavier. Let's see if there's not a ceiling here like there was at Arizona. I'll give it a solid B. I would have gone after Greg McDermott personally. That would have been the move that I said, let's make him turn us down. And then I would have gone after Ottenzer out in Iowa State. If I couldn't get those two, I think Sean Miller was a fine third option. But I would have swung just a little bit bigger with more consistency. I think that what you get in McDermott, that would have been somebody who, I don't know if it raises your ceiling by much, but I certainly think it does raise your ceiling a slightly bit more than Sean Miller. Solid B overall.
No matter who it is, it's going to come down to the athletics department investing into this program like the rest of the league does now in basketball.
Well, okay, Arkansas, look at it. College football right now, it's dead out in Fayetteville. Guess what? Basketball, one season.
Yeah.
One season. John Calipari, for the first time in 5 years, is back in second weekend mode.
That's Cal's strength. Those
relationships. That's the thing, is that the streak's over. He left the program.
I'm saying that's his strength, is like fundraising, getting him. I mean, he was close with the Tyson Chicken guy when he was the head coach of Kentucky. That's who helped get him to Arkansas. So, yeah, I mean.
So what? Sam Walton's grave is going to be dug up, and they're going to steal that money too? Because I'd appreciate that. I'm an Arkansas fan. Guaranteed, never win a football game again. I'm cool going 0-8 every single year. Just let me cut down the nets with Calipari for the next 6 seasons. We'll call it a day. Before we move on, real quickly, one more around the SEC news. John Emery, you've heard the name, you know the name, you love the name. He has entered the transfer portal for what is going to be his 7th season of college football. Where is he going to go? Who is he going to land with? Honestly, I hope he kind of stays in the state of Louisiana, joins Tulane. Mekhi Hughes is now gone. Let him go play at the Group of 5 level, be that veteran for a team that wants to make a college football playoff run.
Yeah, I mean, God, dude, 7. Dude, it does get to the point now, where does that kid go when he wants to go back to his, what school it is? Man, it's just exhausting. I remember John Emery coming on campus for an official visit when I was working in recruiting. He's been around forever.
Where were you at the time?
A&M.
You at A&M?
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Here's how much it was. You weren't even married yet, were you? When John Emery was on campus?
No.
Exactly.
I have a kid now. COVID's happened. Moved 4 times. Unbelievable.
Life is a beauty with that. Real quickly, make sure that
Where's John going to go? You think he'll ride that green wave there?
I want him to, personally. But you know me. It's death, taxes, pulling for John Summerall to win whatever he can as much as possible, as much as he possibly can. Like the video, hit the ring notification. That way you don't miss a single episode of the Overtime Drive right here on SEC Unfiltered. Make sure that also you hit subscribe and tell your friends, family, mortal enemies, best of bros about the channel, because we are on the race to 25,000 subscribers. And what better gift to give somebody in your life than a subscription that's free and you don't even have to pay for, right here to SEC Unfiltered, the #1 SEC entity. Okay, Dave, let's go around the SEC, talk about quarterback battles. Every single week from here on out throughout the rest of spring, we will be breaking down positions, battles, question marks around certain teams. Not every team is going to have a quarterback battle, so we're just going to gloss over them pretty quickly. That way we go ahead and handle them. So let's start off with the teams that don't have a quarterback battle. Spend a minute on Tennessee. Nico Iamaleava's back. He's going to be building that repertoire with new wide receivers and a new running back room headlined by Deshaun Bishop. And then they bring in Star Thomas. Got some young up-and-coming playmakers. What do you want to see or hear coming out of camp about Nico going into year 2 as a starter?
I mean, coming out of spring, really, I think you're going to hear the PR typical stuff. Everything we're moving in the right direction. I think it's going to be like I know people make fun of Jimbo Fisher, but it's the classic Jimbo Fisher quote. We'd always used to hear your actions speak so loud, I can't hear what you're saying. It's kind of like, dude, I'm going to have to see it. But Bear, I ask you, I'm not playing ping pong here with you, but I guess in a way I am. Is this 2025 campaign and Nico's development for you as a quarterback, does this kind of weigh or sway your opinion on Josh Heupel overall as a coach, how it goes this year, good or bad?
No, not at all. What it does sway is that there are going to be some things that need to be tweaked, whether that is you bring in an actual offensive coordinator to kind of tempo up your style of offense and let him call the shots, whether that is bringing in a new quarterbacks coach, like little things like that will. But from a head coaching standpoint, you
So like
brought
if
in
he just kind of stagnant, was kind of is what he is this year, and it just kind of like he's not bad.
Same thing.
You would think it's you're just kind of like just a Nico thing.
I wouldn't even say it's a Nico thing. I just would say, hey, you know what? There's something that's not right with the progression of this team, but I don't think it's all hypo. In fact, for my money, it could be the fact that you got to change up the way that you recruit wide receivers. It could be the way that you go about bringing in certain offensive linemen. You may have to make a change at the offensive line coach position, because what if Nico is as advertised and he ends up throwing for 3,300 yards and 22 touchdowns, but then you're watching wide receivers drop balls the way that we saw down in Georgia last year, where Carson Beck had all of the struggles on trying to build that rapport because of he didn't have Ladd McConkey and he didn't have Brock Bowers anymore. So that could be a thing too.
No. I'm with you. I'm saying it could be that, but I'm saying if it's glaringly like him, you're just no.
To me, he has a grace period because of making the college football playoff, getting 2 10-win seasons in his first 5 years in Knoxville, something that hasn't happened before since the days of Philip Fulmer. And he already is on track to still be one of the winningest coaches in current college football. So, no.
So I just wanted to bring that. I thought it was an interesting question just because there's not much of a battle here or anything. I just wanted to see what your thoughts were on him. I think Tennessee fans would be a little pissed if they go like 8-4 in the development of the quarterback.
Well, I'd be pissed off if you went 8-4 because your schedule's a breeze. So now, are you going 8-4?
I agree with that. I agree with the schedule.
Because are your wide receivers dropping plays, or are they not making the routes, or are they losing on the offensive line? Is Nico under duress all the time? Those are things that I wonder about. Clay Phillips probably wonders about this. Let's talk about Nashville in the state of Tennessee. Diego Pavia is back for round 2. What do we want to see from him? Because honestly, when I look at Vanderbilt, Dave, Diego Pavia might be one of the more clear-cut favorites just to be one of the better quarterbacks in the SEC.
Don't get injured. Let's just keep developing. Let's get more comfortable. It's add new stuff. It's a time to experiment. This will be between Tim Beck and these guys, like all their third years together. Everybody kind of knows how everybody else think, how everybody works. There's a lot they could add on to this offensive playbook. I'd be fired up again. Health's always a concern at Vanderbilt, but no, not much. I think
I want to see him build that relationship in the passing game with a target not named Eli Stowers. That's it. If you give me somebody, I don't know who it is, transfer portal wide receiver, as Clay Phillips brings on up. Maybe it's going to be Junior Sherrill, who has breakout year number 0, agent 0, and Nashville delivers. Those could be things that end up changing and helping out this team. But I just want to see, hey, at the end of the day, we got ourselves a dude that could be a secondary target to where Pavia Power, guess what? He doesn't have to just trust his legs or 17 to get open. We got somebody else that can move the sticks and keep this offense afloat. Taylor Green out in Fayetteville, I think is going to be a really interesting year because who the hell knows what Arkansas is going to be. But what I will say is that the roller coaster of emotions, the ups and downs, the highs and lows, the tricks, the turns, the corkscrews, all those things that we saw last year that were copped up into, what would I say? An underwhelming but yet somehow still expected season out in Arkansas. I want to just make sure that dude is the guy because of the positives with him. They're through the roof. Honestly, Taylor Green to me, I think he is the most, I understand who he is as a quarterback, but also it's do I want to feel that way at the end of the year? Do you catch my drift? Do I want
He's got to be surrounded. That's what concerns me this year. He's got to have help. He can't. He's not a lead singer right now. The band, the bass. Barry, you're more a musician than me. He's got to have the bassist going, the drummer, all those people got to be rocking and rolling to get Taylor at his best.
He has the electric guitarist, the lead guitarist, Omega Blake. That dude's gonna fly.
I'm hearing over there. They're not fired up about the receivers. That's what I'm saying, though. I don't think they replace Andrew Armstrong's production. I don't think
that's impossible
this year. They lost a lot of their better offensive linemen, brought a kid in from UCF, and they brought in. So, who's the other kid they brought in from the portal offensive lineman?
The kid not from Western Carolina. I know who you're talking about.
I don't think they upgraded that room. I'm not worried about Taylor Green. I'm worried about them surrounding him. I'd be concerned. You could use the same thing you said about Vanderbilt, finding a true number one. Who they could benefit from him, who could help benefit from him. Somebody just go with the surrounding cast, dude, because I trust him.
I genuinely wonder about the tight end position too. Just how do you feel about that rule in general? Like honestly, if I'm John Calipari, I may be taking some of that money and going, here, let's use this to buy a wide receiver from Penn State. Actually, not Penn State. Let's go to like Charlotte. Let's go to Florida Atlantic. Like let's get one of those dudes down here so we can make some plays. John Mateer is a name that constantly is being brought up as one of the breakout stars of the spring. And I'm completely real, Dave. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I got the Crimson Kool-Aid. It is coursing through my veins. I am loving what I'm hearing coming out of camp from this kid. I'm loving what I'm seeing from Giovanni Gibson, the Arkansas Pine Bluff transfer. I like what they have in the tight end room now. I think that they're going to be better on the offensive line because they can't be any worse. Like there's something about the way that he carries himself. Number 10 may be a perfect 10 for this squad to where I'm not saying they're going to the college football playoff. That would be foolish at the age of, late March. But they are going to be better offensively. They should at least be better offensively. Now, here's what I want to know. Is this all what we're doing again, where we're overhyping a quarterback, kind of like we did with Nico Iamaleava last year going into the spring?
Yeah. Here for Oklahoma, again, I think me and you agree on this. He was my favorite quarterback coming out of the portal. We talked to some other SEC teams that got a kid. How Bear says, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, a kid that they took from Oklahoma as their quarterback. Now they liked Mateer better. I want to see the just basic foundation of this offense really rocking and rolling through spring because we know, Bear, you got Michigan with Wink Martindale and the boys coming in week 2, and they're going to be stout on defense like they normally are. That'll be a really good test initially for John Mateer and that offense as they all come over from Washington State. I mean, they have to have the basics down if they want to have a chance, I think, in that game. Because I trust Venables, and then they're going to throw a lot at either Mikey Keene or the true freshman right off the bat in this game. So I think the offense will be key to them getting out to a quick start. As we all know, it's going to be key to the season and Brent Venables' future. So I think they got to get that basic. Let's get our foundation of this offense in rocking and rolling first before we start adding on to it. And I think that'll be key to a good start.
I'm okay with being way too high on a player that I just think when you have the good direction with the quarterback coach, when you have the direction with the offense coordinator, when social media, by the way, if there is a leader of the pack right now in the SEC for the overhypeness of spring football, Oklahoma has won that award, and they are running away to the finish line with that award because of what we're seeing online. I'm buying into it. I'm also buying into what Eli Drinkwitz is saying out in Columbia. It's not a quarterback battle per se. What they believe is that Bo Pabula, after paying the money to go ahead and land him from Penn State, good fit for the style of offenses you want to run with Kirby Moore, that's going to be QB1. I just want to see what we watched in the glimpses out in State College for the last 2 years. That be the consistent force throughout spring football. I'm not saying that he has to be perfect. I'm not saying he can't throw in a double coverage when trying to overshoot a Kevin Coleman. I'm saying that guy that was used as a gadget player on certain design plays for multiple different offenses, including Mike Yurchich and Andy Kolotnikis, I just want to make sure that that's the dude I'm getting down in Como for week 1.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I'm fired up to start breaking down because I'm not covering baseball this year. Once basketball wraps up, really diving into this spring film and stuff. I want to know this kid's floor. I want to know his floor. I always felt like I really knew Brady Cook's floor, and I don't think anyone really knows this kid's floor. I don't think certainty. I mean, some people have a better idea. Obviously, people that sit in that building in Como, but like, what's this kid's floor? Because again, Barry, me and you agree, Tennessee's schedule isn't overly challenging. And remember, people, outside of the non-conference games, it's the same exact conference schedule you had last year, just flip the venues. Missouri's schedule, not that difficult either, Bear. This kid's floor will determine if Drink can go win 9-10 games again. I mean, I think, like you said, Bo Pabula is the starting quarterback for sure.
Yeah.
I just want to know the floor, man. I just want to know what this kid is. Because if he's anywhere close to Brady Cook, which it's not fair to say that from what last year, because it's a kid who's played 2 years in the system. But I don't know, like, how big of a drop-off will it be? That's really what I want to see, and we probably won't know that until the fall, honestly.
If they still have a good rushing attack, you have Brett Norfleet. I think that Marquise Johnson's going to have a bigger role. I love Kevin Coleman. I have been And I know my Mizzou fandom comes out a little bit. Everyone talks about it.
Dude,
But
if I talked to you,
don't
man, you
care.
never told me where you went to school. I bet that kid is an MIZZOU.
ZOU lover.
You
Absolutely.
probably got MIZ on one ass cheek and ZOU on the other, would be my bet.
Why were you looking at my butt recently? That's disgusting, Dave Shumate. No, but Kevin Coleman, I think, is going to be a breakout star. And largely it's because of the style of offense that they're going to play him in. Rapid fire, we already know that DJ Lagway is not going to be practicing at least much, if at all.
Hold on, Barrett, can I pause you real fast? I just wanted you may have knew this. I'm looking at Missouri's schedule. Yeah, we got Mizzou, Kansas this year.
Oh, yeah, you didn't know that?
I mean, I knew that, but I was just looking at the schedule and I was like, man, that's cool.
We get one of the most fierce rivalries that people don't want to admit.
Dude, I worked there, and these two teams hated each other. We didn't play them.
People thought that when you got Oklahoma and Missouri fans going at each other in the comment section, that's going to be a full weekend of just. Dude,
me and you are to do a show. We're ranking the non-con games as we get closer to the season. That may be up.
That's going to be, you know what that's going to be like? On paper, it's probably going to be right around what NC State, Tennessee was for me, but it's going to move down.
At Arrowhead?
I think it's in Como, if I'm not mistaken. Or it is at Arrowhead. It's one of the two.
We can move to Florida. I'm looking it up. I'll tell you.
I think that's there. DJ Lagway is not going to practice for most of the spring. We already kind of knew that. He's getting a second opinion on the shoulder. Here's what I say about this. I don't need to know what my ace pitcher is going to do in the month of July when I need him for the month of October. That's how I feel about the DJ Lagway injury. And I want to know that I have a good bullpen, and I want to know I have a good starting rotation. That starting rotation includes the young wide receivers like Vernell Brown and Dallas Wilson and J. Michael Sturdivant, the transfer from UCLA. Seeing Hayden Hansen at tight end take a step forward. Seeing a healthy Trey Wilson and an Aiden Mizell. A good ground game on what I got in Jaden Bond. What do I have in the backups behind him? My offensive line with 4 returning starters. They're all called Page. And you know what? All of them are going to be learning the ins and outs of this style because of Billy did hire an OC this offseason. I know what DJ Lagway can be as a quarterback. I need to know that the rest of the supporting cast is going to elevate him where he is not going to have to play solo hero, solo dolo for the entirety of the game. That's what I wonder.
Yeah, it's a good one. I like that one. I can't disagree with you on that one. For me, I mean, I'm with you. You kind of feel like we know what we got with DJ Lagway, and it's more a surrounding cast type of thing for me. When's the last time Florida, since the 2020 season has had a dude really on the outside? When I say a dude, I mean, a lot of people categorize, he is. Kyle Pitt's a tight end. You did have a dude vertically, but he wasn't a true receiver.
You had Tony too, and he was a gadget player.
Kadarius Toney, yeah. But you're right, he was a gadget player. I remember working him out as a quarterback in high school. But no, I want to see that develop into something. I feel like we're always just waiting for either Hayden Hansen, and we're waiting for some vertical threat. Eugene Wilson's kind of a gadget guy to me as well. He's not a full route tree guy, more jet sweep stuff. I want to see some of a vertical route, relationship kind of developed, a one-on-one. Hey, dude, I got you. I know where to throw it to you on that back shoulder, man. I know you like it. Him and DJ Lagway get that relationship. So I kind of go back to, I feel like a lot of teams in the SEC this year, Bear, we're kind of liking the young quarterbacks, but we need somebody on the outside to step up and then have that 1-2 punch to go win vertically. It can get explosive plays.
From what I've heard, to those close to the team, J. Michael Sturdivant is turning heads. That is a dude that we both said we really liked coming out. He was in our winnable plus category when he signed down in Gainesville. I think that if he continues to grow the way that he has, we're talking about a kid that could absolutely be one of the more overall, I would say, quality number 2 wide receivers. Now, you still want to see it from Mizell, Brown, Wilson, Trey Wilson too. You want them to be healthy, but I will say, if my floor is getting a dude that comes in from UCLA, 600 receiving yards, 5 touchdowns, and 50 catches, I call that a win. Arch Manning's going to be the starter at Texas. I care more about the wide receiver room and the brand new offensive line than I care about Arch. Because Arch has been in the system for multiple years. Arch has been in a role for this team for multiple years. There's not much more I got to know. What I got to know is that relationship with Ryan Wingo is growing. That one of the young wide receivers that they just brought in, like Jamie French, is taking a step forward. But who's going to be tight end number 1? Do you feel good about Juan Davis? Like that? Those are things I care more about. Arch Manning quarterback battle. There is no quarterback battle. Go ahead and plant the flag down in Austin. 40-acre phenom is about ready to deliver.
Yeah, you're right, Bear. There's no battle in Austin. It's just anticipation of how good will Arch actually be. I mean, again, the protection up front's a little bit my concern. So what's kind of the relationship you build up front with the offensive line, like inside of the pocket, the interior of the pocket? You ask any quarterback, they would rather face outside pressure than interior pressure when guys are sitting in your lap and on your feet. Like, he gets little nuances of filling out, like, hey, man, this may be the weak side of my guard. I got to step up knowing if somebody pass rushes there, they stunt. Like that, as you know, Bear. I mean, that'll be a little bit of an adjustment. We'll see that stuff in the spring, but stuff like that. I mean, overall, I think we all trust Arch. It's just let's see how high that ceiling can get, Bear.
Another quarterback battle that we're going to have to see, or not a non-quarterback battle, my apologies. Lenore Sellers is QB1 potentially for some guys into college football. Certainly is QB1 for me in South Carolina. He is top 2 quarterback in the SEC. The big thing, brand new offensive coordinator. Now, again, how much different is Dowell Loggins going to be from what we saw underneath Mike Shula when he was at, let me phrase that, strike that, reverse it. How much different is Shula going to be than what Dowell Loggins did last year? In my opinion, maybe it's actually going to be better because of what we know Lenore's Sellers' strengths are, what Mike Shula worked with when he was in Charlotte, the type of quarterback that he wants to have. And also, I do think that they are going to have a decent supporting cast this year. Like, again, what are we going to get from Nick Harbor? He's not running track. He's running his way to wide receiver 1. Mazeo Bennett. You got Rasul Douglas. Rasul Douglas at your start. Rasul Faison as your star running back. You got Michael Smith back at tight end. You landed the Kentucky kid. So it's like those are things that I care more about than Lenore Sellers. But still, I want to make sure that he is not that dude that is having to play Superman like Super Cam did in 2015.
Yeah, I like your take. I'm going to piggyback you off you a little bit, Bear, there in the Superman take. I want to see Lenore Sellers develop this with Mike Shula where he's making plays within the pocket and it's not broken down in provision plays. And again, sometimes it's kind of where guys that thrive and play their best. But I want to see like plays made by him within the pocket more this year. And to be fair, last year was his first year starting. He should take that maturation process and development this year. I mean, he's on schedule. He's above it, or he's way far beyond it. But I want to see him make more plays in the pocket. I think some of that will be how the offensive line will be. Obviously, I've been waiting to see who wide receiver 1 is. Going to be Nick Harbor. We'll see. But I want to see him make more plays within the pocket this year.
And now I'm going to say the most probably what's the word? Man, it's just been a long day. By the way, we have over 400 people watching, so make sure that you like the video, hit the ring notification. I'm going to say the most irresponsible thing that we have said so far in this show tonight. Garrett Nussmeier is going to win the Heisman Trophy. I know, I did it. Everything that I'm hearing coming out of LSU, everything I'm hearing, Dave, it's just it's working like every single player that they added in.
Like you jinxed Jackson Dart.
I know I did, but just like I want to be irresponsible. He looks better. He looks more confident running Joe Sloan's system. The tight end play is freaking awesome with Bauer Sharp the way that he's looked. We got Barry and Brown looking awesome.
Congratulations, you're officially 8-4.
I know.
Get Rufino and the boys in here.
You hear about what's going on the defensive side, and then I got my 4,000-yard passing quarterback back, and the turnovers aren't an issue at this moment, and it feels like that he's building that rapport. I know. I'm saying a lot of irresponsible things, but here's what I want to see: that swagger is going to be there week 1 when they travel to the other.
LSU's ceiling is 9-3 in 2025. It's official, folks.
I know. What do you want to see?
What is the team total right now for?
I think 7.5, 8.5.
Is it 7.5 right now?
I think it's 8.5.
Under, folks. Bear just did it. He just did it. Go under. Yeah, dude. I want to see the turnovers go down. I know you may not even notice that. I mean, again, Blake Baker and them are aggressive, so they'll put some stuff. They'll test him in the spring. I want to see more consistency out of him. I'm with you, Bear. His best. Like the ball he threw to tied up against Ole Miss late to go get the win ultimately, to go into overtime. Both those balls, too, and the game-winning catch. Like, you like where he's at. Like, you like that stuff, but I don't always have to see that. Let's go make the bad throws. Like, again, I know people are like, maybe he takes that Joe Burrow stuff. Joe Burrow didn't make those bad throws his first year there. He did.
No, he didn't. But let's also be clear. There were some things that Jaden Daniels and Joe Burrow had that were faults that became strengths in their second season.
Yeah, Joe Burrow took that next step again, but he wasn't like losing LSU games or having really bad games at times. I remember in 18. I give a ton of respect for him. Jaden Daniels, you're right. Like he maturated and became a better passer. his second year in that system at LSU. Because remember, everybody get all mad. He'd always take off and run and bail out of the pocket. So he stayed in, obviously won the Heisman Trophy. You're right. He could take that next step. I don't think those two dudes had the floor that Garrett has had or could have. I hope, dude, I love that kid's awesome competitor, good family. I hope I'm wrong. I just want to see it before I'm jumping in the water.
I will be the irresponsible one tonight and say, Garrett Nussmeier, congratulations.
Yeah, those are shark-infested waters, dude.
I'm okay with jumping in. They're not going to bite me. They're not, because you want to know why?
Those are shark-infested waters.
I believe in the Nuss Bus. I believe in LSU this year, and that is so wrong of me.
Bear, right now, tell me. I know we're off script. I'm about to read you schedule. We're improvising here.
I know we're going to improvise.
Bear, no, right now, I need you. LSU, as we stand right now on March 24th at 8:46.
You're disgusting. I know what you're going to ask.
What is LSU's record leading off with at Clemson? You got to stay right now. Nobody's clipping this. This is for spring.
Clip it. That's fine. I'm totally cool with it.
All right, at Clemson.
Yeah, it's a win. I'm going to go. This is the year. It ends. This streak ends here.
Louisiana Tech.
That's a win.
All right, Florida at home.
That's a win.
All right, 3-0. Southeastern at home.
That's a win.
At Ole Miss.
That's a win.
South Carolina at home.
I think that's the loss.
Oh my God!
I think that's the loss.
No! I think that's the loss. I think
that's the loss. I think it's going to be. I think
at Vandy, dude. Back-to-back weeks. You got
here's the thing.
And Pavia.
That is the day game. I think that's going to be a day game, and LSU is not going to be ready for that day game.
So you think LSU and BK take back-to-back L's?
No. I think of the South Carolina game. I'm not saying Vanderbilt they win.
All right, so you got them 6-1. All right,
yeah.
A&M at home.
I think that's a win.
All right,
they don't lose A&M at home.
7-1 at Alabama.
I think that's a win. There's okay. Let me explain. The years, David. The years that there is something special brewing in the bayou.
Brian Kelly's
the years that something is brewing in the bayou and it's special, they win at Alabama. So if I think that there's something special,
I don't disagree with you there.
If I believe there's something special, then they're going to win in Tuscaloosa this year.
Bear, all right, Bear, now you explained it. That's my fault. I shot before asking questions, and I apologize.
Okay, so I think it's special.
After your explanation, if you're that high on Nussmeier and LSU, your theory on why they beat Alabama would make sense. All right, Arkansas at home.
I think they win that one.
Western Kentucky at home.
I think they win that one.
So we're 10-1 going to Norman.
I think they win that one.
11-1 LSU.
I think there's a
only loss to the Gamecocks at home.
I could
obviously LSU would be in Atlanta for the SEC title game.
I could see a scenario where they go undefeated in conference play and lose League One to Clemson. I could see that. There's a part of me that believes they are going to drop a game very similar.
Are they going to win it? This would be 6 years in a row they've lost the opening game.
I know exactly, but how about this, Dave? How about instead of wondering what the schedule is going to be, how about put your money where your mouth is and do so by going over to FanDuel? And if you don't want to go over to FanDuel and bet on them, how about you go ahead and bet on the upcoming matchups in the Sweet 16? Because it's bracket season and FanDuel is letting you make the call. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when they win their first $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets on everything from clutch shots to second half heartbreaks to even figuring out who's cutting down the nets. If you've been waiting to join, now is the perfect time. The tournament action is on nearly every single day beginning this Thursday. And FanDuel has the amazing type bets, spreads, totals, game procs, and so much more. Some of my favorite plays this week, Dave. -6.5 for Florida, +5.5 for Arkansas, -3.5 for Michigan State. And I'm riding right now with Rocky Top rolling over Kentucky, -4.5. Just some of my favorite plays. Whatever your favorite plays are, make sure you visit FanDuel.com/SECU and get in on the action for college hoops for the tournament all year long. Disclaimer: must be 21 and present in select states or 18 plus and present in DC. First real online wager money only. $5 first deposit is required. Bonus issued with non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering sports wagering in Kansas in the agreement of the Kansas Star Casino LLC. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit FanDuel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit mdhelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 247 support in Massachusetts or call 877-1877 8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. There we go. Okay.
Bear, before we move on, little betting odds here. I was looking at it today, guys. National championship odds. Look at the big drop off here. You got Duke plus 220. You got Florida plus 430. This is all on FanDuel. Auburn plus 480. Houston plus 550. Then Vegas obviously thinks there's a clear 4 teams who can win this. Tennessee plus 1,600. Alabama plus 1,700 to the next closest. So, guys, if you're wanting to bet, Vegas is screaming at you right now. Pick one of the 4 teams: Duke, Florida, Auburn, and Houston.
Dave, I'm going to let you scream for a minute because I've already talked about this enough and I got to go get my laptop charger. So scream at the fans about why Alabama is the most talked about current quarterback battle going on in the world of college football.
Well, I mean, you got 3 guys, I think, legitimately battling it out right now. So, I mean, this is an intriguing one because I think Alabama's got a lot of guys back too. I mean, I think you're just kind of missing that quarterback, which again, you're missing the quarterback piece, which I always say, it's the most important position in all of sports, not just the sport of football, in all of sports, especially in today's game where you got to have some kind of offensive vertical game. But I mean, it's Ty Simpson, Austin Mack, Keelan Russell. I mean, who knows? I mean, you saw Ryan Grubb kind of light up a little more when he talked about Keelan Russell a little bit and his ability. Like he talked about, oh yeah, Ty Simpson's been here. He's a vet guy. Austin Mack, we recruited him at UW at Washington when we were in Seattle. We like his potential development. Bigger guy who can stretch the field. But man, that Keelan Russell, woo! You can tell he kind of was like that kid. I mean, he's probably the most talented kid. Brian Grubb's ceiling wise is a raw ability he's ever had a chance to come.
Oh, that's
I'm interested there. I mean, it really is. I mean, I think you would lean Ty Simpson right now, but. Dude, I mean, it wouldn't shock you any of these 3 win. And again, I think Alabama – I saw Kirby Smart was on some show the other day, and I thought he made a great point. He's like, and people picking like who they want to win the SEC. He's like, Alabama's got a ton back outside the quarterback spot. Again, like I said, quarterback, I mean, if you don't have one, you ain't winning a championship. But so it's very important. But if they can get it right, if one of these 3 guys can take the reign – and I think they're going to be better vertically passing the game, no matter who it is, in the vertical passing game, no matter who it is. But Alabama could go win the national championship, be an SEC champion again. I mean, they easily could. They got a lot back on both sides of the ball, a lot of key pieces back. I mean, they may have the best wide receiver room in the conference.
Okay, I won't go that far. What I will say is they may have the most
under the conversation.
I would say most underappreciated wide receiver room in the conference. I'd rather go with that because of. I still want to see Isaiah Horton, how he fits, how we're going to see Jeremy Bernard take another step forward, Cole Adams coming back, what you got with the 5-star freshman coming on in. But here's what I will say. There's a lot of people out there that are saying the Austin Mack report is just trying to spruce up for clicks around the college football season or about the spring portal season. Guys, let me just make this abundantly clear. The second that Ryan Grubb touched down on campus, Austin Mack 1,000% was going to be in the running for the starting job in Alabama. Like, he was already going to be in the running because of Kalen DeBoer single-handedly brought him down from Seattle, but he 1,000% was going to be in the running because of the guy that brought Austin Mack to Husky Stadium and made sure that people down in Seattle believed was going to be the heir apparent of Michael Penix, was the guy that was just hired as Alabama's offensive coordinator. But here's what I also will say. If you told Kalen DeBoer today you had to pick your starting quarterback, I don't think he would have an answer. I genuinely don't. I think he would rather lose an early game than say, this is my guy I'm trying out for the entire year.
Barry, here's a good question. I'm putting you rapid fire. Do you think they can legitimately lose in Tallahassee week 1?
No, I don't. But what I will say is that if quarterback play is that awful, anything is possible. It's a cop-out, but that's the way I feel about it right now.
You're right. You just don't know.
But that's the beauty about what spring football is at this point, is that you don't know. Kalen DeBoer doesn't know. But I will say you feel pretty confident on whichever guy is the starter. If it's Ty Simpson, he's been there for 3 years. He gets the identity.
The statement I don't mean to interrupt you. The thing I don't like that people say about Ty Simpson a little bit, though, is like,
I know what you're about to say.
He's never won the job yet. He must not be very good. It's kind of like, it's kind of a low-hanging fruit thing. I think it's kind of lazy.
I think the most disrespectful thing that anybody has done, and I've seen people that work in our industry do this all the time, is saying, well, he couldn't beat out Jalen Milroe last year, who couldn't hit the backside of a barn. Why should we trust him as a starting quarterback? What if Kalen DeBoer sat in his office and said, I need this dude to be really confident in this game, and we're going to lose this matchup. So rather than hurt his confidence and eventually force him to transfer to where I have to hit reset at the quarterback position, I'm going to ride it out with Jalen Milroe because I know he's not back next year. Like, people don't ever want to have that conversation, but it was probably one that was going on quietly in the mind of Kalen DeBoer year one, knowing regardless of if we go to the college football playoff, regardless of if we win the national title, I'm going to be back here next year, and I'm going to have more of my say on what works for my offense. And I don't really care what the boosters are saying or what other people around the program are saying. We're going to do it my way. But I feel really good about Ty Simpson because if he's been around the program. I feel really good about Austin Mack because you want to know why? He's been around the offense. And I also feel really good about Keelan Russell because of if he wins the starting job at a place like Alabama, Dave, and you and I both know this is because we went there and you've worked there. In the SEC in general, if you're a freshman starting, you have got to earn that job. You have got to leave no doubt that you are the best person in that room constantly and is going to give your team the best opportunity to win. It's always going to be that way. So until I see Keelan Russell prove to me and to the rest of the Crimson Tide faithful that he is QB1 for a reason, I don't have to play him. But if he is proven that he is QB1, feel really good about the quarterback room. Because now I'm just starting a guy who I knew was going to be a star a little bit sooner than we expected, which means that he is over-analyzing and he is overworking his brain to where he understands I'm the perfect fit. The way that I've been able to pick up this offense, I left no doubt this spring. So either way, I feel really good about the quarterback competition going on currently in Tuscaloosa. And I think most Alabama fans should as well.
Yeah.
Auburn, is there a quarterback competition? Like, yes, we do know that Jackson Arnold is going to be the starter, at least for the beginning of what is fall camp.
In Waco, he'll be the starter.
Right. But, like, is there really a quarterback conversation with Deuce Knight coming on in, with Ashton Daniels, the transfer from Stanford? Because, again, Hugh Freeze, whether or not he is retained, there is pressure this year. Because of last season, your team was masquerading as a bad overall offense when it wasn't. You just had too many turnovers in marquee matchups that led from an 8-4 season to almost a 4-8 year.
Yeah, no, but I would agree. If it's Ashton Daniels, they're probably a little in trouble. I know they like him as kind of a backup guy, a stopgap kind of player back there. They would be in trouble. And then if Deuce Knight's starting, I mean, Deuce Knight was banged up a lot last year at George County High School. Like, I don't think he's ready to take on that either. It's got to be Jackson Arnold, but I think Jackson Arnold is very similar to what I just said to what's kind of the low hanging fruit. Wow, Oklahoma wasn't good last year. It's like, well, yeah, his OC got fired in the middle of the year. They were banged up on the line of scrimmage at wide receiver spots. Like, this will be the best he's had since he's been in college, especially out wide. But so, I mean, yeah, I expect him to be much better, have a much better year this year, and the schedule's very beneficial. it's a very underrated week one game. I'm actually really fired up for that game in Waco. But no, I just kind of want to see, like, I just want to see. It sounds lazy. It doesn't sound lazy. It's just kind of, I just want to see him a little bit in the spring. It's like, you haven't seen him with a complete bag of tricks since he's really been in college. He started the one bowl game against Washington State in the Alamo Bowl? Arizona. And he had some picks, but I don't know. I'm just kind of interested to see him in a fresh start. I think he could have one of the more underrated seasons.
This will be a very big test for me in how I go about my scouting process when it comes to quarterbacks, because I last year was way too high on Jackson Arnold. I'll be the first to admit that. I think most people understand I was way too high on him. But the reason was because this was a kid that came on in from Denton Guyer High School and balled out at Elite 11, won the damn event, goes to a premier program known for developing quarterbacks and has the most quarterbacks in the NFL. His offensive coordinator that he initially was connecting with leaves for Starkville, Mississippi. He sticks around. I never liked the Seth Luttrell hire. There were already conversations about the issues on the offensive line. Wide receivers were dropping left and right. I felt like they punted on him too early in the season when they gave up in the week 4 matchup against Tennessee. They allowed Michael Hawkins Jr. to kind of figure things out. They fired the offensive coordinator. They have Joe John Finley and Kevin Johns working with the offense. Joe John Finley's calling plays. They don't have any wide receiver help. The offensive line allowed the most sacks in college football among Power 4 opponents. So it's like a lot of things that went from bad to worse surrounding Jackson Arnold absolutely factored into the results. But I only have that to stand on for one more year because you brought this up. it will be the best wide receiver core he has ever worked with in his entire life. And I mean his entire life, going back to what he had when he was in high school. Because you got you got 3 4-stars, a couple of newcomers that are going to be studs in the making, and Eric Singleton, who many people believed was the best wide receiver prospect in this year's transfer portal. It'll be a better offensive line because it can't be any worse than what it was last year. You'll have a stable run game with Damari Alston and what you brought in with the UConn kid. Your schedule's manageable. If not now, when? And I'm not saying you got to be this dude that delivers 325-yard passing performances and 100 and $120 on the ground. I'm saying just be a guy that's completing 62% of his throws, not throwing into double coverage, is a reason why your team is actually winning late in the fourth quarter and not putting the ball in harm's way when you need to be able to strike. Like, that's what I want to see from Jackson Arnold this year.
Yeah, no, I'm interested. He's an underrated guy. Could have a big say in how this league shakes out this year.
By the way, you brought this up. I think that is such a good litmus test game for both Baylor and for Auburn when it comes to their status in respective conferences. Because if I think both could be easy sleepers, I think both could be looking fresh next season for a new head coach. Like, that's how I feel about both of these squads right now, especially when it comes to what we watched with Neil Brown going 9-4 and then being shown the door a year later. Dave Aranda won a lot of good graces over this past year, not off the hot seat. No, at least for my money, not off the hot seat just yet.
No, I would agree with you. It's a fun game. I'm fired up about it.
Let's go to Lexington and talk about what's going on with the Wildcats. They're going to be the first team to end spring practice. Zach Calzada, the dude who took down Nick Saban as part of an unranked Texas A&M squad, he is back in the SEC. Had a flash in the pan moment when he was out in Incarnate Word. And you have Cutter Boley. And Cutter Boley started at the end of the year last year, kind of found his rhythm. Wasn't great, but that was the guy that a lot of people said, okay, well, maybe we're finally going to stop going with this transfer portal quarterback route. Let's go ahead and bring in a dude that we actually landed. Do you feel good about either position right now?
I don't, man. I don't. This is like
bad, isn't it? It's bad to say that.
Yeah, it's like the first year I feel like I haven't put a little coin on the Kentucky quarterback spot. Well, they're due to hit at some point. Devin Leary, Bryant Vandergriff last year. Again, Zach Calzada is a great kid. I was around him when we signed him at Texas A&M, and dude, no, I don't think this is the guy. Again, he had the game of his life against Alabama in 2021, and that'll be awesome for him to tell his grandkids. But I don't think he's turning Kentucky. I don't think Kentucky's making a bowl game this year. They may clip this later on when they get to 6 wins in the middle of October and tell me to go F off. But as I stand right now, you made a prediction on LSU. I'm going to go with the Cats. Hey, people are fired up about the Cats being in the Sweet 16 and Mark Pope's boys. We're talking Kentucky football right now, Bear, in March, baby. And I'm saying they're not going to be very good next year because of the quarterback.
Okay, not very good. Are you talking about not very good, like they're going to be the single worst team in the SEC? Or are we talking about?
No. I think they'll be in the bottom 4, though.
Yeah, that's pretty fair. I won't go into too much detail. I think they could win a bowl game. I think they can make a bowl game with Cutter Boley as their starting quarterback, which is saying a lot about how I feel about Zach Calzada. I am just Dave. I am not laying down money tonight on what is the FanDuel line of the future of Mark Stoops keeping a job in 2026 because Kentucky went to a bowl game. I'm not doing that. What I am going to say is I am not a believer in Zach Calzada so much that I would rather run it with Cutter Boley and just suffer the consequences than trust the veteran from Incarnate Word. That's how I feel about it. Because the dude throws one speed. 5-yard out route, it's a 95-mile fastball. 50-yard bomb down the field, it's a 95-mile fastball. Like, that's it. He doesn't have the touch. And that was an issue at Texas A&M. It was an issue at Auburn. It was an issue at Incarnate Word a little bit. At some point, you are who you are as a quarterback. So I don't know what I'm going to get in Cutter Boley. I don't know what Cutter Boley is going to look like in Bush Hannon's system. I think that they have a very sneakily fun wide receiver room and a very sneakily fun kind of offensive personnel. I think their defense is going to be better than advertised with what they brought in with the South Dakota State kid. With the South Dakota kid. With
Kentucky's wide receivers going to be better
than who? Than last year?
Just overall talent, no way.
No, but do I think that it could at least be more fun? Like, yeah, 100%. You tell me I get Jamori Macklin, True Edwards, and Troy Stellato actually making plays.
What's that mean? More fun. They lost their
I don't know. It means more fun. Like, hey, I don't have to trust Barry and Brown going up for a 50-yard 50-50 ball. I'm like, hey, cool.
I know. 2 years ago, Barry Brown and Dane Key had some drops. I'm with you, but
I don't know. I'm just not ready to go ahead and give entirely up on
Fair, I'm going to give you credit. We should go ahead in that season. We should do some categories. Most fun position group heading into
it's not
a wide receiver group.
Folks. It's not. It'll be in my honorable mentions. Mississippi State. There's 2 quarterbacks there. There's a guy that's been in the system that got hurt last season and kind of derailed the year. It was Blake Shapen, and then of course you have Luke Crowenhoek that comes on in from Florida State. I'm not gonna lie. This is the one that I'm most intrigued about of all the quarterback battles because I feel really good about where Alabama is
in the league,
in the SEC. Because Dave, I genuinely believe right now, Jeff Levy may be worse than he was last year. I think there's a scenario where they're just kind of
the quarterback.
But is Luke Crowenhoek going to be your starting quarterback?
Well, no, I think Shapen starts the year. Now, if Shapen goes down again, yeah. But you're right. I think Crowenhoek's development's key because we've seen
it's really
Shapen
key.
Gets banged up.
What if you hear at the end of spring? What do you hear at the end of spring practice? Hey, Shapen's the guy. But Crowenhoek, he made him earn it. Like he made him earn it. If I hear that coming out of camp, I feel pretty good. Like I'm like, okay, I know that I got my long-term answer for this.
Because we all thought it was Michael Van Buren, obviously.
Right.
It's Shapen came back. Van Buren's a better edge.
So it's little things like that I'm talking about. I will also say they can be a really fun run-oriented team. I think that Fluff Bothwell coming on in was one of the more sneakily underrated.
Maybe a little south in your mouth.
I think he's gonna be fun. I do. I really do. I think that you throw that in with some of the wide receivers they added in, Brennan Thompson. How are they going to utilize Anthony Evans as a gadget player from Georgia? Just stuff like that. I think that's a team that I still think can lose to Northern Illinois if they don't have the right quarterback.
I'm not disagreeing. I mean, the Rockets went in there and it wasn't even close.
Well, no, like it was a mercy killing at that point.
Yeah.
And we were nice to them afterwards because of how bad it was. Auburn doomed forever. Any idea who's going to be QB1 out of Auburn? It'll be Jackson Arnold to start the year. I think that by the end of the year, that'll be a big question.
God, if it's not Jackson Arnold at the end of the year, I'm on record right here. Hugh Freeze will not be at Auburn in 2026. If Jackson Arnold, outside of injury, if they make a change because he's not playing well,
he shouldn't be at Auburn anymore.
Quickly, I'll say because I said it earlier. I think they like Ashton Daniels' kid, but I don't think they're overly I don't think they're like, man, he can't go win us 8-9 games. I don't think, but he can get us through a game. And then Deuce Knight's I don't think he's ready yet as a true freshman. So I think for you, if you've told me Auburn won 8 or 9 games this year, I would have to be Jackson Arnold 100% was the guy from start to finish.
He better be at this point. Somebody who is going to have to be the guy for this team to make a college football playoff run is Marcel Reed out at Texas A&M. He is going to be the starting quarterback. They brought in Jacob Zeno to be like that veteran voice in the locker room. But I'll tell you what, I've talked to some people out in College Station. They feel like that he's got that moxie. They feel like that the attentiveness of building that timing when it comes to finding wide receivers, it's there. And then you throw in what you have in a good running back room. They may be the deepest running back room in the SEC. They may not be the best running back room, but they are certainly the deepest. And then for my money, they may not have like a guy that's going to go for 1,300 yards, but they got like 5 dudes that can average 750 to 800 rushing yards. You also throw in a veteran offensive line. You also add in Casey Concepcion, Mario Craver. On the field, he's a really talented vertical threat. Off the field, that's a whole different thing. Good tight end room. Like Marcel Reed is the quarterback that fits Colin Klein's system. If Colin Klein's system can actually grow, maybe 9-3 is on the table. I won't go and say 8-4 is going to be the floor because, again, we already know what the floor is every single year. Def taxes A&M going 8-4. I don't know if they're a college football playoff team, but if they want to be, you're going to have to see more of that growth and that consistency from the offense with a guy like Marcel Reed taking control.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I'm legitimately interested to see this offensive line. I have so many questions. I mean, Marcel Reed's development, similar to Lenore Sellers, is within the pocket. I want to see him develop as a pocket passer. Colin Klein, the offensive coordinator, this is the most weapons he's had since he's ever been an OC. I mean, outside of Deuce Vaughn, who played at K-State when he was there, I mean, this is the most he has at his disposal. So, I mean, I want to see him take the next step as a play caller, as a quarterback developer. This offense as a whole, I'm with you, Barry. You said it too. I just want to see him take that next step Kind of felt like after that LSU game when teams had to prepare for Marcel Reed, it kind of took them out of what they wanted to do. So I want to kind of see them add on to that. And like you said, I mean, Micah Hudson's gone, Mario Craver, who knows? I don't know. It's like you thought they upgraded the room, and it's still a talented wide receiver room and skill position room, but offense as a whole, I'm fired up. I'm really anticipating seeing what they look like heading into the fall.
I mean, anytime you have Casey Concepcion, I feel like that's a good wide receiver room. I'm not saying it's an elite wide receiver room, but I feel
I'm with you, but it's a room.
But I feel good about him just in general. Let's go down to Athens, Georgia. It's Gunnar Stockton's job to lose. We can always talk about Ryan and RP and what he's going to provide. But it does feel like this is Gunnar Stockton's job after what he did throughout the last few years. And I think Kirby feels pretty good about this situation right now. Maybe not about what's going on with the program and how they're running through the law and they're making themselves be a bigger offseason story than they have to be. But I feel like that this is a quarterback that has been here. He wasn't the issue, in my opinion, in the Sugar Bowl. He helped us play up to par in the second half against one of the best defenses in the SEC. Let's give him an entire spring. Let's give him an entire fall camp. Let's lay the foundation down. And then we can reassess and see if we have to go ahead and change the wooding or if we're really good and we like this tile.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Stockton. I'm with you. I think he'll at least get the start opening game. But no, I mean, this is probably the biggest rebuild that Kirby Smart's had in quite a while, honestly. Like, maybe ever in his tenure. I mean, just off the top of my head, I'd probably say, going into the year, they lost a lot of leadership on both sides of the football. I think the guys gravitate towards Gunnar Stockton, but he's got to take that next step to being the leader on the field day in, day out. Not saying he's not, but again, you're the head, you're the starter, and there's not a lot of veteran leadership back from that team last year. So guys that not even just veteran leadership, but just being in the sport, a lot of guys didn't feel comfortable being leaders unless they had performed well on the field. I mean, that's like natural human beings. Like if I haven't done anything, I'm going to not feel as comfortable calling Bears ass out for not doing something if I've never done it. So I think that's where they're at a little bit as a team, and he's got to be the face of the program, the captain of the team, take that next step. I think he can be. He is real Georgia to him, doesn't he, Barry? He is a real, I drive a Dodge Ram, baby, and I'm from Tiger, Georgia, Rabun County. He is. But no, I'm fired up for him. I didn't think he played bad against Notre Dame in the Sugar Bowl. We'll see.
What about Ryan Puglisi? Do you have any hope that he's going to start this year? Or is this really
that? It's funny you asked me that.
Is it more so like a, hey, we had bad wide receivers. The offensive line wasn't up to par. We went out. We brought in some new 5-stars in the offensive line. We got some dudes that we really like in this year's draft and this year's recruiting class. Zachariah Branch is going to be really good. Noah Thomas is certainly the best wide receiver that we have in terms of the new guys coming on in. It's another year in the system for Dylan Bell. It's another year in the system for Oscar Delp. We're going to feel good about Nate Frazier as our lead back. Let's just go ahead and have what was our mentality for years with the guy in Stetson Bennett. Consistent game manager that really doesn't raise the ceiling to new heights, but he'll step up and he'll deliver in the moment. That's what we think that we got in a guy like Gunnar Stockton.
Yeah.
No, I'm asking, is that what you think?
Yeah. I'm not 100% hook, line, and sinker with him right now. I want to see a little bit more than a game. And I know we saw a half against Texas in the SEC title game, but speaking of Texas fans thought Garrett Gilbert was going to be the name. I mean, he looked phenomenal against Alabama in the national championship game in the second half that year. But let's see. I want to see first 4 games of the season, but I do think he is ultimately the guy. But I think Ryan, you talk to some people over there, they're intrigued, but I think it'd be taking some people back if he won the job.
And with that, make sure you like the video, hit the ring notification, and of course, subscribe to the channel because we talk college football every single day. Over 700 people watching right now. So I'm watching all of you. All it takes is one click of a button. Go ahead and hit that ring notification. That way you don't miss out on a single thing that we have going on right here on the channel, including live streams starting later this week with Dave Shumate and Chris Phillips. Dave, before we get on out of here, the hypothetical of the day, as you like to bring up, history was made in the world of college basketball. 7 SEC teams. Literally, nearly half the field is SEC teams in the Sweet 16. But how many can actually make it to the Elite 8? So let's go through the matchups. We have one SEC versus SEC showdown.
We got one guaranteed.
Kentucky versus Tennessee. One of them is going. Everyone else, it's up for debate. So when you look at the 7 teams, How many do you think can actually make it to the final stage before a trip to San Antonio is on the docket?
I think a great over-under for this is 4.5. So I think Bama will beat BYU, which I think it's kind of a toss-up. It should be a really fun game. I think I'll get Florida over Maryland. I think Texas Tech gets Arkansas.
Okay.
I think Michigan State gets Ole Miss. Then obviously Tennessee or Kentucky. So there's 3. And I think Auburn beats Michigan. So there's 4. Would not shock me, though, if Arkansas beat Tech or Ole Miss beat Michigan State. None of that would shock me. Also wouldn't shock me if BYU beat Alabama. I'd be a little surprised if Florida lost to Maryland, and I'd be a little surprised. I think this game's going to be really close, by the way, with the one I'm about to say. The line's like at 9 right now. I would take Michigan in the points. I think Auburn-Michigan will be really close. Give me Auburn in Michigan, which will essentially be an Auburn home game, Bear. I got another hypothetical for you after this. We told a guy on Twitter. He gave up a pretty good one. I told him we'd do it. But you, Bear, how many we got?
I agree with you. I think it's 4 or the line set at 4.5. I would probably hit the over. Naturally, Tennessee or Kentucky's going to go. So just throw them in. I have Kentucky losing to Tennessee. I've had that since the get-go. I think that Chaz Lanier is just such a difference maker for this team. I think Rick Barnes' roster is very much in play to go on a run toward the national championship this year. I'm a lot higher on them than most people, I would say, in that division against the University of Houston. I think that Alabama's a toss-up game. That's the one that I'm very much on the fence of. I think that Ole Miss is going to beat Michigan State. I had such doubts about Michigan State in the first half against New Mexico, and I think that the speed and the consistency that you see from this Ole Miss backcourt, that is going to bode extremely well in their favor, and they will be playing in another SEC matchup against Auburn. I do think that Auburn versus Texas A&M would have been a much easier matchup for the Tigers to go ahead and claim victory. Because I've also said that Michigan can lose to San Diego and then find their way to the Final Four. So it won't shock me if they lose that one, but I do think that this is a game that they will win. So that's 4. I do think Arkansas finds a way to lose. So Alabama's the only toss-up for me. If you tell me that I'm getting the consistency of Grant Nelson and I'm getting Mark Sears to play out of his freaking mind and I'm slowing down the three-point play of what BYU has been able to do, I would say the Tide win by at least a dozen. But I don't know if I'm going to get that.
Yeah, man, I hope you're right.
Because again, they looked awesome against St. Mary's. They played incredible for, I would say, really the last 30 minutes. They were awful up until the last 10 minutes against Robert Morris. So many mental mistakes, so many inconsistent shots, so many failed second chance opportunities, and BYU is not going to let you capitalize on them. So if they play the way they did against St. Mary's and they can play a little bit better defensively, I'll go ahead and I'll lean just slightly Alabama by a dozen. But it's still, if they don't, they can lose by a dozen too. Neither would shock me in that sense.
Yeah, I think defense will be key for Bama and Purdue, whoever defends better.
All right, let's get on out of here. What's the final hypothetical?
Hypothetical. Speaking of the Vols, Barry, you're high on them. You're high on them. Our guy, Pineapple Musk.
What up, Pine?
Says not many outlets cover the big 3. So, the big 3 sports of football, men's basketball, and baseball. So here's a hypothetical that consumed my entire day. He commented on the live stream there. He says, imagine Lane Kiffin never left Knoxville. Bruce Pearl had to cancel the barbecue due to rain, or he just didn't lie about it. He'd still have his job. And Lane, Bruce, and Tony V were all leading the 3 major fall sports. Scoreboard aside, would opposing fan bases or Knoxville self-destruct first?
What fan base self-destructs first?
He said, would Knoxville self-destruct first if all 3 of those guys were still there, or would opposing fan bases?
I think opposing fan base. I really do.
I agree.
I really do. I think that because honestly, you and I have agreed to this one. Tennessee to me is the most complete program in the SEC when it comes to
out of the big 3 sports. Yeah.
Right now, as of right now, they are. I think Alabama's close. I think Florida could be. I think that you could absolutely throw Texas A&M in there at baseball and football, take a necessary step forward, because I do believe that basketball, it still is a pretty overall solid program. There's not a lot that I have to complain about, but it's Tennessee far and away. If Lane never leaves Knoxville, they have a 10-win season within 2 years after the departure of Philip Fulmer. 3 years.
Dude, I thought he overachieved his first year with Jonathan Crompton. Then they won 8 games, lost in the Peach Bowl, I think.
And then lost the Peach Bowl.
God, how does this make you feel, Bear? The quarterback of Virginia Tech that night, Tyrod Taylor.
Would he have been at what's it called? Would he have been at Tennessee?
Tech.
No, would he have gone to Tennessee?
No. That's who Tennessee played in that bowl game that night.
Oh, God,
Tech,
yeah.
and Tyrod was the quarterback.
God, that makes me feel so old.
I know.
Tyrod was in college. I think that Lane would have had a college football playoff appearance in the 4-team playoff. I did. I truly believe that. I believe he would have probably at least gone to one national title. And I think that Bruce Pearl would have gone to one national title at Tennessee. So imagine how bad Vol Twitter is now, pining for an opportunity to say that we're the victors of the world outside of baseball, but also that we're better than advertised, even though we haven't won a national title since 1998 in any sport besides football, and the streak ended finally, and baseball, and the streak finally ended this year. Every other fan base would self-destruct because they wouldn't want to hear the end of it. They would never hear the end of it. Never. Ever.
No. Yeah, Vol fans are tough to deal with when they're losing and winning. I think a lot of the other fan bases would say.
I still love it. No show on Thursday this week. That is because of Dave Shumate and Chris Phillips are going live. We will have the mailbag show next Thursday, but we will be back here next Monday, and we will be going through the running back room in the world of the SEC. Dave, it's a lot of fun. I'm glad that we actually got to finally do a show together.
Man, yeah, I feel like we need to use that meme where the lady from the Titanic, it's been 82 years.
84 years, and we won't keep you any longer. But like the video, hit the ring notification, make sure you hit subscribe. That way you keep up to date with everything that we're doing here on the channel. Dave Shumate, Chris Phillips, Harrison Cordell fan all go live throughout the week. Make sure that you're following us on the socials at SEC Unfiltered. Follow Dave at SEC, Dave Shumate SEC, me at Mr. Cole Thompson, and check out all of our great work found at secunfiltered.com. For Dave Shumate, I'm Cole Thompson. Have a good start to your week, and remember, you only live once, so what's the point of actually living if you're just going to play it safe? Peace.